friends, Pradeep Pendyala, Professor of Anaesthesiology at ASRAM Medical College, Eluru City of Andhra Pradesh, India. Friends, today I am going to speak about a wonderful topic. The occupational hazards being an anesthesiologist. Yes, the risks you are going to face, occupational hazards for an anesthesiology profession. That's the topic today I am going to speak about. Excessive workloads, injustice, lack of professional recognition, conflicts, especially with colleagues like surgeons or gynecologists, in principle with team members and other professional workers, which is very common and very likely. Loss of control over excessive responsibilities, excessive bureaucracy, and institutional and environmental features can definitely cause occupational hazards to all the anesthesiologists working at some time or other. That would lead to burnout syndrome. I'm sure you would agree. Unfortunately, friends, many of the healthcare providers, especially anesthesiologists, go for idealism, perfectionism, and high sense of responsibility, and they become vulnerable to the feelings of inadequacy. That leads to burnout syndrome among anesthesiologists. That's a worldwide phenomenon in all the professions, but more so and more likely in anesthesiologists. Anesthesiologists are the ones who suffer maximum amount of burnout. They are the people who are likely to suffer with depression, suicidal tendencies, drug addiction, and many other things. Friends, long working hours, failure to keep plans under control, rapidly developing medical knowledge by which they had to keep a pace with it. That creates further problems. People who suffer with burnout contribute to a variety of problems, including cardiovascular diseases, substance abuse, which I just mentioned. Anesthesiologists generally work independently and may feel that they have less control over their professional lives than other colleagues in other specialties. Loneliness can also contribute to conflicts in an anesthesiologist's personal life. Many are disturbed. They have disturbed family lives. Nothing which can be called their personal space and personal enjoyment. Owing to the nature of anesthesiology, sometimes error that can occur, that would result in disaster, causing medico-legal cases against anesthesiologists. And once medical legal suit is filed against an anesthesiologist, you can imagine that would carry on for 10 years, 15 years or more. That is the possibility. Burnout syndrome manifests as fatigue, sleep disorders, headaches, impotence, digestion system diseases, psychological problems like restlessness, anxiety, depression, hopelessness, behavioral problems like aggressiveness, defensive behavior, and drug use. These are all occupational symptoms because of occupational hazard, the kind of work they do. Absenteeism, low performance, decreased interest in work. These are all the features of burnout syndrome. Stress control training should be given to such people. Accepting the reality of the situation, knowing when to say not to the increased workloads when they are being loaded with extra work, they should be able to say no. And they should take care of the eating habits and good sleeping habits and resting. And taking time for family and personal goals. That's very, very important. Otherwise, they will lead to problems. There's no doubt that institutional measures for situations such as other infrastructure improvement is very essential. Anesthesiologists are exposed to numerous potential risks that can harm their general health, especially the ladies working as anesthesiologists. Imagine they are exposed to nitrous oxide. The teratogenic effects are likely to take place. The exposure to radiation, non-ionizing and ionizing radiation, the C-arm fluoroscopy, that is the potential ionizing radiation, which is very much likely. The radiologist knows how much he's been exposed to the radiation, but anesthesiologists are being exposed, but there is no account of how many rads they have exposed to. That is the problem for being an anesthesiologist. You can imagine the exposure to nitrous oxide and volatile anesthetics. They're extremely harmful. The scavenging system, face mask, how much you can depend on face mask? Most of the time it goes from the leakage from this. And that inhalation would definitely cause problems. If you are allergic to latex, further aggravation. If you are allergic to certain gaseous things, and if you are already symptomatic with asthma or COPD, the problems will be aggravated. There is no doubt about it. Physical factors and safety such as I mentioned, ionizing and non-ionizing radiation should be taken care of. There could be noise, vibration problems in the OT, heat, ventilation, lighting problems, electrical appliances. There could be fire hazards. These are all professional hazards which regularly anesthesiologists face. And the worst part, sometimes they are blamed for none of their faults. Some gynecologists can cause some negligence and there is a fetal distress which leads to fetal death. But sometimes that is being labeled that's because of spinal during cesarean, hypotension took place and there was a bad outcome. There have been instances. Such blames the anesthesiologists are likely to face, and I would say these are professional hazards exclusively for anesthesiologists. Friends, they also exposed to chemical hazards such as latex allergy, exposure to anesthetic gases in the form of nitrous oxide and volatile anesthetics like isoflurane, halothane, all these things are absolutely, even sevoflurane inhalation, harmful to the core, no denying. And exposure to viruses, COVID, bacteria and fungi, some people call it fungi, it's fungi, these are very common. Chronic occupational stress, psychosocial disorders and drug addiction are very, very likely among anesthesiologists. Friends, this is nothing besides that ergonomic risk, labor standards such as work organization, work model, intense responsibility and above all, violence against anesthesiologists. That is the worst outcome. Friends, these are the professional hazards of anesthesiologists. Thanks for patient listening. Take care. Bye-bye. This is Colonel Pradeep Pindyala signing off for tonight. Bye-bye. Take care.